I am counting every blessing, counting every blessing, letting go and trusting when I cannot see. I am counting every blessing, counting every blessing.
Welcome to the ND 500 podcast. Today's text comes from 1 Samuel chapter 17, verses 38 through 46. Verse 38. So Saul clothed David with his armor, and he put a bronze helmet on his head. He also clothed him with a coat of mail. David fastened his sword to his armor and tried to walk, for he had not tested them. And David said to Saul, I cannot walk with these, for I have not tested them. So David took them off. Then he took his staff in his hand, and he chose for himself 5 smooth stones from the brook, and put them in a shepherd's bag, in a pouch which he had, and his sling was in his hand. And he drew near to the Philistine. So the Philistine came and began drawing near to David, and the man who bore the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was only a youth, ruddy and good looking. So the Philistine said to David, Am I a dog that you come to me with sticks? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, Come to me, and I will give your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field. Then David said to the Philistine, You come to me with the sword, with the spear, and with the javelin. But I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you in my hand, and I will strike you and take your head from you. And this day I will give the carcasses of the camp of the Philistines to the birds of the air and the wild beasts of the earth, and all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. Today's message is to use what God has given you. As we continue our study of David and Goliath, we see here that Saul begins the passage with providing David with his armor. But as soon as David tried to use the armor that Saul provided him with, David realized that this armor isn't for me. This armor won't fit me. I can't fight the giant with someone else's armor. So David decided to go and use something that he's more familiar with, something that he's used many times while shepherding the sheep. He goes and he keeps his slingshot and his rocks, and he goes to the giant. He goes to the giant confidently, but the giant, who probably was expecting someone to come with a sword and shield, chastised David, and he laughed at David because David didn't look like he thought he should have looked. In his mind, he's thinking that we're going to war. I'm going to go to war with someone who used the same thing that I used to battle. But David looks at the giant. The giant, most scholars believe, according to ancient texts, that Goliath was about 6'9" in height, and the average height for the Israelites at that time was about 5'5", and they believe that David was probably around 5'5". So here it is, a towering giant looking at David, a young boy. He doesn't even have a sword, a shield, or anything. And David is looking back at him confidently. And David is saying that you're saying what I'm coming to you with, you're coming to me wrong. But I'm coming to you in the name of the Lord, the name of the Lord in which you've defiled. So David looks at him confidently, and he goes and he sees the weaknesses within Goliath. He sees something that most did not see. I said all that because oftentimes when you're facing your giant, those who are around you, they may only see the obstacles. And if you listen to those who are around you who only see the obstacles, you'll begin to focus on those obstacles instead of focusing on who is with you. The Lord is with you. The Lord is your strength. And the lesson in which David teaches us is that we are to be confident and know that God has provided us with everything that we need. So in this lifetime, there will be many times where you think that you may need resources, you may need this and that, you may focus on the things that you don't have. But the message that David is giving us is that focus on the things that you do have. God has already equipped you to defeat your giant. So whenever you begin to doubt your abilities, you begin to doubt the resources, you begin to doubt whatever it is that comes to your mind, remember that God has already equipped you to defeat your giant. All you have to do is just step up and use what God has provided you with, and you will be able to defeat your giant. Until next time, live in truth.